March 13, 2010. Rain punched the metal roof as two burglars crawled across the darkness above a silent warehouse. A single cut of a diamond saw opened the night like a wound. 40 feet below them waited millions in untouched pharmaceuticals, and a security system they believed they'd already beaten. But one mistake was about to survive them all. Enfield sits quietly along the state's northern edge. An orderly grid of warehouses, commuter roads, and small neighborhoods stitched together by routine. Nothing about it hints at vulnerability. Nothing suggests it would host one of the largest pharmaceutical thefts in American history. The Eli Lilly distribution center stood as the area's calm heartbeat. A massive, climate-controlled monolith where antidepressants, antipsychotics, insulin, and oncology drugs waited in tall, sterile rows for shipment to hospitals and pharmacies nationwide. The building's interior hummed with soft refrigeration systems and polished efficiency. Workers came and went without thinking much about the medicines they handled, high-value commodities, yes, but in Connecticut, pharmaceutical warehouses were seen as safe, unexciting spaces. Yet something subtle had changed in the weeks before the heist. A maintenance hatch appeared slightly misaligned. A delivery driver noticed a van idling longer than usual across the street. A security alarm malfunctioned twice in 1 month, both times blamed on humidity. Small things, forgettable things. But beyond the town's edge, in a rented house with boarded windows, two brothers were building something precise, something dangerous, and they were watching Enfield far more closely than Enfield was watching them. And soon, the calm would rupture. A Maori and aimed villa didn't grow up as blunt, impulsive criminals. Their edge came from discipline, patience, a near-religious devotion to logistics. In Miami's cargo theft underworld, they were known for studying supply chains with the focus of engineers and striking only when every variable tilted in their favor. A Maori had an eye for weaknesses, locks, cameras, schedules. Aimed carried the calm required to slip into dangerous spaces without hesitation. What drove them wasn't adrenaline. It was control. The satisfaction of seeing a plan so meticulously crafted that the world didn't even feel it happen. But that mindset carried its own shadow. Perfection becomes obsession, and obsession eventually demands a stage big enough to justify itself. The Eli Lilly warehouse was that stage. The plan started months before the first boot touched the warehouse roof. The brothers gathered insider intel, alarm models, shift changes, camera placements, storage layouts. They weren't guessing. They were constructing a blueprint of vulnerabilities. Their scouting blended into Enfield like mist. They rented vehicles under false names, switching plates often. They parked overnight in industrial lots pretending to sleep, memorizing the rhythm of guard patrols. On one visit, a Maori paced the outer fence, pretending to talk on a phone while actually testing the signal range of the warehouse's alarm frequency. They discovered something critical. The security system relied heavily on rooftop sensors. If those sensors could be bypassed, or if a specific maintenance zone could be exploited, the brothers could enter from above, avoiding every motion detector inside. Two close calls almost derailed the plan. Once, a forklift operator stepped outside for a smoke break, just as Aimed was inspecting the north side of the building. He froze in the shadows, heart hammering, as embers glowed yards away. Another night, a local cop slowed beside their parked van, shining a flashlight through the window. Only the staged clutter, empty fast food bags, fake invoices, and sweatshirts convinced him it was just another exhausted driver grabbing sleep before a long route. Each scare sharpened the brothers' resolve. Every close brush confirmed the inevitable truth. This warehouse wasn't expecting them. By early March 2010, the operation was fully assembled. They had the tools, the timing, and the routes. All that was left was to wait for the perfect night. A night so drowned in rain and quiet that even the slightest noise would dissolve into the storm. That night arrived on March 13th. The rain came first, heavy, unbroken sheets striking the Eli Lilly roof like applause. In the storm's cover, a rented tractor trailer crept into the industrial park, headlights off, until it stopped behind the warehouse's loading dock. 10 minutes later, a second truck slid into position. No alarms, no guards outside. The facility looked dead. A Maori climbed the drainage pipe with a duffel slung over his shoulder. The metal was slick, cold, and vibrating with rainfall. Aim followed silently. At the top, they belly crawled across the roof's slick membrane, feeling the water soak through their gloves. They found the exact maintenance zone they'd studied, marked by a barely visible seam in the metal. A Maori pulled out a cordless diamond saw. Its blade glimmered under the storm's brief flashes. He pressed it down. Sparks hissed against the rain. The cut widened slowly, revealing the square of darkness below. A 40-foot drop into a refrigerated storage canyon lined with racks of some of the most expensive medicines on Earth. A rope descended. Aimed went first, sliding quietly into the artificial chill. His boots hit the concrete without a sound. He moved swiftly, disabling the local alarm node using a bypass relay they'd prepared from insider schematics. The warehouse remained silent. A Maori joined him. For a moment, they simply stood in the cold expanse, breathing slow, surrounded by pallets worth more than most armored cars. Then they moved. Plastic wrap tore under their gloves. Pallets rolled on steel jacks. Row by row, bottles and cartons stacked onto the awaiting trucks. Zyprexa, Prozac, Cymbalta, antipsychotics, antidepressants, oncology drugs, each box a miniature fortune on the black market. Hours passed in disciplined rhythm. The rain hid the faint mechanical clinks. Their footprints disappeared in the condensation. What they didn't notice was the bottle of water a Maori set on a pallet during a brief rest, a harmless gesture, forgotten in the pressure of the moment. At dawn, the brothers sealed the roof cut from inside with adhesive insulation, leaving almost no trace of their entrance. They drove the loaded trucks out through the quiet roads of Enfield before anyone arrived for the morning shift. Half the warehouse inventory, $80 million worth, vanished into the fog. To Eli Lilly, it was a catastrophe. To the Villa brothers, it was perfection, or so they believed. The discovery came with a single confused stare. A warehouse employee stepped inside and saw empty aisles where full pallets had stood the day before. The cold, sterile air felt wrong somehow, too still, too hollow. When he looked up and noticed a faint square of mismatched ceiling insulation, his pulse spiked. Minutes later, alarms blared across the corporate hierarchy. Investigators swarmed the site. Eli Lilly executives arrived in pressed suits, staring at the gutted racks like survivors of a natural disaster. The brothers, meanwhile, were already deep into offloading the cargo, moving the medicine into a network of safe houses and black market brokers in Florida. They celebrated the clean execution but felt the tension of the product's weight. High-value pharmaceuticals weren't cigarettes or electronics. They carried unique lot numbers, serialized packaging, and temperature sensitivity issues that created narrow windows for sale. As the investigation gained momentum, the brothers remained outwardly calm. But calm cracks under pressure. And the first crack came in the smallest form possible, the realization that they couldn't remember if they had cleaned every trace behind them. The FBI's Miami Cargo Theft Task Force took the lead, an experienced team familiar with organized crews like the Villas. They began by reconstructing the timeline. No forced entry through doors, no disabled motion sensors, no tampered locks. The conclusion felt impossible. Someone had come from above. Technicians inspected the insulation patch on the ceiling. A subtle difference in texture revealed the entry point. When they climbed up, they found faint metal shavings, adhesive trails, and one item resting behind a pallet rack. A crumpled plastic water bottle, half crushed. At first, it seemed insignificant. Warehouses often had stray personal items. But in a multimillion-dollar heist, nothing is insignificant. The bottle was sent to the lab. A week later, the DNA profile hit a match in a federal database. A Maori villa, previously tied to cargo thefts in Florida. That single match shifted the investigation from uncertainty to pursuit. Agents dug into a Maori and uncovered a pattern cell tower pings near other warehouse thefts, vehicle rentals in states with unsolved pharmaceutical or electronics burglaries, and connections to Cuban-American groups known for professional silent jobs. Surveillance teams began following the brothers. They watched them change cars frequently, use burner phones, and meet with individuals tied to stolen goods trafficking. The brothers never acted nervous, but that was its own tell. Professionals who knew they were being hunted rarely sat still for long. As investigators traced unusual pharmaceutical shipments emerging in Florida's black markets, the lot numbers matched those missing from Enfield. The web tightened. One Florida safe house was raided, revealing climate-controlled storage stuffed with Lilly products. Packaging, pallets, even the shrink wrap matched the Connecticut inventory. The evidence wasn't just pointing to the villas, it was surrounding them. And the FBI had learned something else. The Enfield heist wasn't an isolated masterpiece. It was part of a larger pattern of multimillion-dollar thefts stretching across states, all sharing the same quiet surgical precision. The brothers weren't outliers. They were architects of a national theft ring, and the ring was about to crumble. Federal pressure intensified. Broker networks flipped. Safe house seizures mounted. Every door kicked in brought investigators closer to the core. The villas felt the shift. Friends went silent. Routine drop-off points dried up. One middleman vanished overnight after cooperating with authorities. It was only a matter of time before the brothers' names surfaced on sealed warrants. The breaking point came with an intercepted shipment in South Florida. Hidden beneath crates of produce lay thousands of units of Eli Lilly product, each traceable, each damning. With that seizure, federal prosecutors assembled an airtight conspiracy case. Before dawn, coordinated teams hit multiple locations. In North Carolina, agents surrounded the home where a Maori was staying. The quiet suburban street filled with tactical lights and shouted commands. A Maori stepped out slowly, face blank, hands raised. Not defiant, not fearful, just resigned. Amed was arrested hours later. His reaction mirrored his brother's, measured, controlled, as though the collapse had always been a statistical possibility they'd quietly acknowledged. Interrogations yielded little. The brothers offered sparse, evasive statements, avoiding names and details, but the evidence was overwhelming. DNA on the bottle, lot number trails, surveillance logs, brokerage communications, and seized inventory linking back to Enfield. In court, the quiet efficiency that had once defined their criminal lives turned against them. Prosecutors framed the heist as a sophisticated, multi-state operation that endangered public health. The judge agreed. The dominoes had fallen, and the empire the brothers built through silence was destroyed by the sound of a plastic bottle hitting a warehouse floor. A Maori and Amed villa received lengthy federal sentences. Their arrests dismantled one of the largest cargo theft networks in the country. For Eli Lilly, the heist triggered sweeping changes across the pharmaceutical industry: vault-level warehouses, advanced tracking systems, improved alarms, and federal corporate partnerships designed to stop anything like this from happening again. But the lingering mystery remains how close the brothers came to disappearing forever. Without that discarded bottle, the case might have stayed unsolved. The stolen drugs quietly funneled into underground markets, and the Enfield heist remembered only as a ghost story in corporate boardrooms. Instead, it became a landmark example of how the smallest oversight can shatter the most meticulous plan.